The serene Santa Fe property, once owned by legendary actor Gene Hackman and his wife Betsy Arakawa, has become the unexpected focus of a concerning investigation. Following the couple's recent deaths, a comprehensive risk assessment conducted by New Mexico state officials uncovered a troubling discovery: both dead and live rodents, nests, and animal feces scattered throughout the residence and its surrounding land. The findings have shocked fans of the reclusive, Oscar-winning actor, who had spent the final years of his life in quiet retirement, far from Hollywood's glare. As the investigation unfolds, questions are being raised not only about the state of the property, but also about the couple's final days, their health, and what role, if any, environmental hazards may have played in their deaths. Gene Hackman, who won critical acclaim for his performances in classics like The French Connection, Unforgiven, and The Conversation, was known in recent years to be living a quiet life with his wife, Betsy Arakawa. The couple had chosen a tranquil life away from the spotlight, nestled in the scenic but remote outskirts of Santa Fe, New Mexico. Though they were largely out of public view, occasional sightings and interviews suggested the couple enjoyed their privacy, spending time cycling, gardening, and enjoying the arts. Their deaths, reported just weeks apart earlier this year, prompted an outpouring of condolences from fans and fellow actors alike. Initially believed to be from natural causes, their passing seemed uneventful until local health officials conducted a standard post-mortem risk assessment of the property. According to sources familiar with the situation, the risk assessment team entered the property to ensure that it posed no public health risks, particularly given the advanced age of the deceased and the remote location of the home. What they found, however, raised serious concerns. The interior and exterior areas of the house revealed an active rodent infestation. Dead rodents were found in various parts of the home, behind appliances, under floorboards, and in the attic, alongside nests containing live rodents and evidence of long-term habitation. Officials also documented widespread droppings and urine trails which were sent for lab testing to determine the presence of any pathogens. Health experts were brought in to assess the potential dangers the rodents might have posed to the couple. Rodents are known carriers of various diseases, including hantavirus, leptospirosis, and salmonella. In homes where infestations are unchecked, the risk of respiratory illness and infection is significant, particularly for elderly occupants. The medical examiner's office has not yet released toxicology reports linking the infestation to Hackman or Arakawa's deaths, but the timeline of events has prompted speculation. According to one official, the condition of the property suggested the rodent problem had been worsening over the past year, raising the question of whether the couple had the ability, or even the awareness, to manage it. Betsy Arakawa, a classically trained pianist and co-owner of a home design store, was widely regarded as Hackman's rock and companion. The couple had been married since 1991, and their relationship was marked by discretion and a mutual love of quiet living. Friends close to the couple described them as fiercely independent, preferring to handle their affairs without outside interference. That independence, while admirable, may have allowed the infestation to grow unchecked. Neighbors noted that the couple had declined offers for help with property upkeep in recent years, citing their desire for privacy and self-reliance. The discovery has sparked renewed debate about aging in isolation. As more aging celebrities retreat from the public eye, often in rural or semi-rural locations, questions arise about how much oversight, medical, environmental, or otherwise, they truly have. For Hackman and Arakawa, who reportedly had no live-in staff and only occasional housekeepers, the rodent issue may have slipped beneath their notice until it was too late. Investigators are now combing through maintenance records and speaking with local contractors to determine whether any previous reports of infestation were logged, and if so, why they weren't addressed. Animal control experts who were brought in to assess the situation noted that rodent infestations in the Santa Fe area are not uncommon, particularly in the winter months when wildlife seeks warmth and shelter. The couple's home, though well-constructed, was several decades old and surrounded by brush and desert terrain, ideal conditions for rodent nesting. Experts pointed out that even small entry points in the home's foundation or attic could have allowed animals to enter and breed. The nests discovered on the property appeared to be from multiple species, including field mice and pack rats, indicating a prolonged and varied infestation. While the presence of rodents alone does not confirm cause of death, the potential health risks they pose, especially to the elderly, cannot be ignored. Rodents can trigger asthma attacks, exacerbate chronic illnesses, and transmit dangerous viruses through airborne particles. In homes with poor ventilation or inadequate pest control, exposure can lead to fatal consequences. Given Hackman's advanced age of 95 at the time of his death and Arakawa's own health challenges, investigators are not ruling out the possibility that environmental hazards contributed to a decline in their well-being. In a public statement issued shortly after the shocking discovery, the New Mexico Department of Health acknowledged the presence of dead and live rodents, feces, and nests on the late couple's property, but cautioned the public against forming premature conclusions. "We recognize the significance of this property and the public interest surrounding Mr. Hackman and Ms. Arakawa," the statement read. "We are conducting a thorough and respectful assessment of all environmental factors as part of our standard public health protocol." The department emphasized that while the findings were indeed alarming, they do not immediately indicate a cause of death. Autopsy and toxicology reports, still pending at the time of the statement, would be instrumental in determining whether the rodent infestation had any medical impact on Hackman or Arakawa in their final days. The department also confirmed that the residence had been sealed off to prevent public access and was undergoing professional decontamination to eliminate any lingering biological hazards. The cleanup process, led by licensed environmental safety teams, involved multiple stages, including the removal of carcasses, sanitation of contaminated surfaces, and air quality assessments to identify any lingering pathogens. News of the discovery reverberated across the Santa Fe community and beyond. Fans and local residents responded with a mix of sorrow, disbelief, and concern. Many had always viewed Hackman as a dignified figure who embodied the quiet strength of his generation, and the idea that his final days may have been spent in an environment tainted by a rodent infestation was deeply unsettling. It's heartbreaking to think that someone like Gene Hackman, who gave so much to the world of cinema, may have lived his final days in such conditions, said one longtime Santa Fe resident whose voice quivered during a local news interview. "What, he was a legend, and we just assumed everything about his life was as well maintained as his legacy." Others in the community voiced similar emotions, some recalling how reclusive the couple had become in recent years. Despite being admired and respected by neighbors, Hackman and Arakawa had gradually distanced themselves from community functions, rarely inviting visitors and limiting interactions even with longtime friends. The revelations also prompted serious discussions around the challenges of aging in isolation. While Hackman and Arakawa were admired for their independence, some residents now wonder whether their solitude may have shielded them not only from public scrutiny, but from critical help. Friends and former acquaintances who had once been close to the couple confessed that it had become increasingly difficult to maintain contact. Some shared that Arakawa had turned down offers of assistance with the house, insisting that they were fine on their own. This fierce insistence on self-reliance may have been born out of pride or privacy, but now it is being viewed through the lens of tragedy. "It's hard to know when to step in," one neighbor said. "You want to respect boundaries, but what if something terrible is going on behind closed doors and nobody knows?" Beyond the emotional reactions, the discovery of the infestation has also introduced a slew of legal and logistical questions surrounding the couple's estate. Because both Hackman and Arakawa died within a short span of each other, the distribution of their assets is now subject to a complex probate process. The state's legal authorities have temporarily assumed control of the property to ensure that all environmental hazards are addressed before it is passed on to any heirs or beneficiaries. Probate attorneys have been engaged to oversee the division of the couple's considerable estate, which reportedly includes not only the Santa Fe property, but also valuable artwork, literary rights, and a portion of Hackman's earnings from past films and novel royalties. Some legal experts have indicated that if the property is found to have contributed in any way to the couple's deaths due to hazardous living conditions or environmental neglect, there could be implications for how the estate is processed and protected. According to insiders, family members have remained mostly silent, choosing to grieve privately and refraining from issuing any public statements. However, sources close to the family suggest that they were just as stunned as the public to learn about the extent of the damage inside the home. Many had assumed the property was in good condition, and few had visited in recent years due to the couple's increasing desire for solitude. It is now becoming clear that the property, though outwardly picturesque, had suffered from long-term maintenance issues that may have gone unreported and untreated. The absence of regular inspections, caretakers, or even occasional wellness checks meant that the rodent problem was likely allowed to fester unnoticed for months, possibly even years. As the state continues its investigation, environmental health. Teams are also working to trace the origin and scope of the infestation. Specialists in rodent control have indicated that the species found on the property were common to the region and likely entered the home through breaches in the foundation or attic. They have speculated that weather changes, particularly the cold snaps Santa Fe experienced in recent winters, may have driven rodents to seek warmth within the structure. Once inside, they found shelter and food sources, allowing them to reproduce rapidly. Experts are now testing various samples collected from the property to determine if the rodents carried diseases known to cause respiratory illness or other complications that could be especially harmful to elderly individuals. While no official medical link has been made between the infestation and the deaths of Hackman and Arakawa, public interest remains high, and pressure continues to mount for a full disclosure of the final autopsy results. In the broader cultural conversation, this case has become emblematic of a disturbing reality that wealth, fame, and artistic legacy offer no immunity from the vulnerabilities of human aging. The idea that two beloved public figures could spend their final moments surrounded by environmental decay has left many shaken, leading to urgent calls for more robust systems of elderly care and better protections for those who choose to live in solitude. Mental health advocates have pointed out that cognitive decline, mobility issues, and even emotional fatigue may prevent older adults from recognizing the dangers around them. While there is no indication that Hackman or Arakawa suffered from such conditions, the mere possibility has reignited debates about how society supports, not just celebrates, its aging icons. Though the investigation is still in progress, what has already emerged is a sobering reminder of how quickly things can spiral beyond control when oversight is absent. The grandeur of Gene Hackman's legacy now stands in stark contrast to the conditions in which he and his wife may have spent their last days. Their story, once defined by artistic brilliance and enduring love, is now shadowed by the quiet suffering that may have gone unseen and unspoken in their final chapter. As fans await further updates, they are left to reconcile the image of a cinematic giant with the troubling truth uncovered inside his private world. Hackman, who had firmly stepped away from the Hollywood spotlight in the early 2000s, found a new creative outlet in the world of literature. He authored several novels, often centered on historical drama and suspense, and developed a modest yet loyal following in literary circles. Preferring the written word over the flashing lights of red carpets and cameras, he declined numerous invitations to attend award ceremonies and anniversary retrospectives celebrating his film career. His reclusive nature was not born of bitterness, but rather of a deep desire to live life on his own terms, free from the relentless scrutiny that had come with decades of stardom. Arakawa, who had supported Hackman through much of his later career, had her own passions rooted in classical music and entrepreneurial pursuits. She maintained involvement in small local businesses and occasionally performed in intimate venues, but like her husband, she gravitated toward a life lived quietly and meaningfully behind the scenes. The couple's commitment to simplicity and seclusion endeared them to many in Santa Fe, a town known for its blend of artistic culture and tranquil desert landscapes. They were often spotted taking early morning walks or shopping discreetly at local farmers' markets. To those who encountered them, their humility stood in stark contrast to their accomplishments. Their deaths were seen not only as the loss of two respected individuals, but also as the symbolic close of a significant chapter in the town's cultural identity. Still, the recent revelations have cast a shadow over the couple's final years. Although there is no indication of foul play, the circumstances have highlighted the fragility that can accompany growing older in isolation. The situation has forced a broader societal reflection on how public figures, especially those who withdraw from fame, are cared for in their later years. It has also emphasized how external appearances of wealth, prestige, and even contentment can mask deeper challenges. As investigators and health officials continue to comb through the details, one undeniable reality emerges. Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa, for all their artistic and cultural significance, were human, subject to the same vulnerabilities and needs as anyone else. Their story now serves not only as a testament to their contributions, but also as a reminder of the dignity and care every life deserves, especially when it fades from the public eye.